Have you ever tried to explain yourself again and ended up feeling even more misunderstood? That impulse to correct the record, to make someone see you clearly, feels natural, necessary even, as if clarity equals control. But what if it doesn't? What if the desire to be understood is actually what strips us of power? Let me ask you, have you ever said too much in a negotiation, trying to seem honest, only to be exploited? Or opened up in a relationship, hoping for closeness, and instead lost respect? In a world that celebrates transparency, the real power may lie in something counterintuitive: strategic misunderstanding. This idea wasn't born yesterday. Niccolo Machiavelli, the infamous political thinker from 16th century Florence, understood something most of us still struggle with today: that influence isn't about being seen truly, but being seen wisely. He knew, when people misunderstand you, not because you're careless, but because you choose it, you create space. Space for fear, fascination, and projection. And often, that version of you, the one they think they see, is far more powerful than anything you could explain. Just look at Machiavelli himself. His name became synonymous with cold-hearted cunning. But ironically, many scholars argue he was more complex, even idealistic. He never corrected the world's assumption. Why? Because the myth of Machiavelli carried more force than the man himself. Let's bring this into your world. Imagine you're leading a team at work. Your employees can't quite predict what you'll prioritize next. They hesitate before cutting corners or pushing boundaries because they don't know how you'll react. That uncertainty isn't a flaw, it's leverage. Or picture a tense negotiation. One party keeps their motives vague. The other over-explains. Guess who gets the better deal? Here's a quick question for you. Have you ever benefited from not saying everything? From leaving space for others to assume? Let us know in the comments. We'd love to hear your story. Because the truth is, when you let go of the obsession with being fully understood, you stop performing. You start directing. Machiavelli wasn't just talking about politics. He was laying out a blueprint for modern power. He saw how the appearance of strength often matters more than actual strength. That's not deception, it's strategy. In his famous book, The Prince, he wrote, "Everyone sees what you appear to be. Few experience what you really are." And right there lies the secret. Not in showing more, but in revealing less, with purpose. Let's be clear. Strategic ambiguity isn't about being mysterious for the sake of drama. It's about leverage. The less others know about your exact thoughts, limits, and intentions, the more space they give you, the more power you hold. Think about negotiation. Who usually gets the upper hand? The person who lays all their cards on the table, or the one who reveals just enough to keep the other guessing? Let me ask you this. When you're unsure what someone wants or fears, don't you walk more carefully? That caution, that second guessing, that's power. Machiavelli understood this better than anyone. He watched the rulers of his time use unpredictability as a weapon. Not randomness, precision-crafted mystery. He wrote, "Men are less hesitant about harming someone who makes himself loved than one who makes himself feared. When people don't quite know what you're capable of, they hesitate. That hesitation protects you." This applies to leadership too. Imagine two managers. One is predictable, the other slightly unreadable. Who commands more respect? More strategic compliance? People don't like dealing with the unknown. And that's exactly why it works. Now ask yourself, have you ever said less and been taken more seriously? Drop it in the comments. We'd love to hear it. Strategic ambiguity also makes manipulation harder. To control someone, you first have to know what moves them, what they want, what they fear, what they can't resist. But when your motives stay partially hidden, you become harder to decode. You're a moving target. Machiavelli didn't see this as deception. He saw it as protection. Imagine you're in an office. Two co-workers are competing for a promotion. One loudly announces his goals. The other keeps things close to the chest. Who's harder to block? Exactly. And it's not just in power struggles. It's in creativity too. The artist whose meaning is never fully explained invites endless interpretation. The leader who never reveals their full agenda keeps people anticipating. The brand that maintains mystique builds loyalty through curiosity. Ambiguity, when used with intent, invites engagement. People lean in. So here's a challenge. Where in your life could ambiguity serve you better than clarity? Not lying, not hiding, just allowing space. Let them wonder. Let's talk tactics. Strategic ambiguity is not about being confusing. It's about being deliberate. Used wrong, it makes you look vague, unreliable, even shady. Used right, it makes you look powerful, unpredictable, and harder to manipulate. So how do you get it right? Rule number 1. Be selectively ambiguous, not universally unclear. Be clear about your values, your standards, your boundaries. Be ambiguous about your capabilities, your next moves, and what truly matters most to you. Reveal enough to build trust. Conceal enough to maintain leverage. Think of it like chess. The queen's position is known, but her next move isn't. Rule number 2. Consistency matters more than transparency. You don't have to reveal everything to be trusted. You have to act with integrity, even if your motives aren't fully explained. People will trust your pattern, even when they don't fully understand your plan. As Machiavelli observed, everyone sees what you appear to be. Few know what you really are. And that's okay. That's by design. Here's an example. Imagine a leader who always enforces consequences, but never explains exactly when or how. People don't know the full rules, but they know. If I cross the line, I'll feel it. That's strategic consistency, not predictability. Rule number 3. Shape the misunderstanding. Don't just let it happen. Strategic ambiguity doesn't mean going quiet and hoping people misinterpret you. It means you curate the signals you send out. You act in ways that invite certain projections. You give just enough information for others to draw their own convenient conclusions. This is what modern strategists call perception control. You show strength without bragging. You express concern without appearing desperate. You leave key details open, because mystery breeds momentum, and sometimes silence speaks the loudest. Here's the real trick. Clarity feels safe, but ambiguity creates movement. When people think they know everything about you, they stop paying attention. But when they're not quite sure, they watch, they wonder, they adjust. That's control. That's influence. So ask yourself, where are you oversharing? Where are you over-explaining? What could happen if you let them guess? Let's take it even deeper. Ambiguity doesn't just shape perception. It protects your core identity. If everyone knows exactly what you want, what you fear, what drives you, then anyone can target you. But when you keep that center protected, you become unreadable. You become untouchable. Machiavelli understood this in a brutal world of courts and betrayal, but it applies today in corporate boardrooms, creative industries, and even social media. When you're too easy to figure out, you're easy to exploit. Strategic misunderstanding isn't just about mystique, it's about defense. Don't just speak, signal. Don't just explain, influence. Don't just exist, play the game. Let's be honest. This strategy, it makes people nervous, because deep down, we've been taught that misunderstanding is bad. It ruins relationships. It breeds distrust. It feels manipulative. So here's the question. Is being strategically misunderstood unethical? The answer depends on one thing: intent. Are you trying to mislead people into false beliefs for selfish gain? Or are you using ambiguity to protect your freedom, preserve your options, and avoid unnecessary limitation? There's a difference between deception and disciplined restraint. Let's break that down. Lying is about leading someone into a trap. Ambiguity is about not handing them the key to your front door. You're not faking strength. You're not announcing weakness. You're not creating illusions. You're not breaking the spell. And often, letting others come to their own conclusions makes the message stick more than any direct explanation. Machiavelli understood this. He didn't praise lies. He praised flexibility. He wasn't telling rulers to manipulate everyone. He was telling them, in a world that won't always play fair, don't always play obvious. Now let's go deeper. Strategic misunderstanding works not just because it hides your truths, but because it lets people reveal theirs. When others project their hopes, fears, or agendas onto you, they expose the architecture of their own psychology. That's information. That's leverage. That's power, earned by saying less, not more. So what does this look like in real life? You don't say, "I want this promotion." You say, "I'm just here to support the mission." Let them worry whether you're a threat. Let them overthink your next move. You don't text first. You don't overshare. You leave space. Because in that space, the truth about them reveals itself. That's the paradox. When you resist the urge to be seen clearly, you see others more clearly. When you stop trying to define yourself for everyone, you stop getting trapped in roles they assign you. You reclaim something rare. Freedom. Not the reckless kind. Not the do whatever you want kind. But the kind that says, "I know who I am, and I don't need you to agree with it." That kind of power. It doesn't shout. It doesn't overshare. It moves quietly, but it moves everything around it. That's why the most powerful people are almost always misunderstood. Not because they failed to explain themselves, but because they no longer needed to. But before you go, take a moment to reflect. Have you ever gained more by not explaining yourself? Has being misunderstood ever worked in your favor? At work, in love, in power? We want to hear your story. Drop a comment below and share your experience. Let's build a space where silence, ambiguity, and strategy are finally understood. Not as flaws, but as tools. And if this video gave you a new perspective on power, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share with someone who's always one step ahead. This is just one piece of the puzzle. Stick around, because the next episode might change the way you see influence forever.